Hello there. Sir, give me study material first, not your second. Study material. What do you want to study? So I have 2 chatters, but 0 views. Close. So there's at least 3 viewers, three chatters, but 0 concurrent viewers. So yeah, I'll sit around for a few minutes and I guess wait for the people to arrive in the stream, and then I guess it says no concurrent viewers, but there's at least 8, 12. So are you guys here from my YouTube shorts? I know my do you use Windows at all? Not really. I try to avoid it. 1K? That's a lot. Howdy. Yeah, the shorts brought in quite a few, and then my how to make a CPU video seems to have really taken off in the last few days. So that's brought in probably a lot of new people. FFmpeg. Yeah, I don't have a video on that one yet. Yeah, so ideally I would have prepared a lot more, but I guess that's the nature of live streams, is they're lower fidelity. So I decided I'll just give some of my stream of consciousness thoughts about AI. People have talked a lot about that, and it's been a question I get occasionally. So I'll give a more formal overview of some of my thoughts. Just came here first time after seeing your video on how to make a CPU. That's good. I guess that's bringing in some new viewers. So yeah, I do, I guess a lot of my content has been Linux, but I've dabbled a bit in semiconductor analysis stuff. But of course that stuff is a lot more work, takes a lot more time. You have to actually buy the stuff and figure out how to look at it. So do any of you guys use AI in your daily work? ChatGPT and all the AI programming assistants? Glad I found your channel because I'm going CLLG next month. I'm not sure what that CLLG means. I guess AI in any sense, or at least any of the new AI tools. That flurry of ChatGPT and programming assistants and so forth. The AIs that everyone says are going to completely change the world and replace humans. I used it to write boilerplate. Yeah, I haven't really. I played around with ChatGPT a bit, but not much beyond that. I guess I've watched a lot of videos on how other people use them, and just to learn about how it works for them, and just to make sure I'm not missing out on anything. AI assistance then, yes, a little bit. It seems to help getting unstuck on problems. I find it extremely helpful for my own learning, for answering very specific questions. AI is good for rubber duck debugging. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people that seems to be where it's trending toward being the most useful. I see Gentoo won't use AI tools. Machine learning is also AI, right? I guess it is. It's it's all under that classification. So technically we've been working on AI since like 1980 and stuff, but it's I've also noticed a lot of other stuff, like people taking finite element analysis models and then calling them AI just because it's like trending now. So everyone is just calling everything computer. They're calling it AI now just because it's popular, and it's a good way to market stuff. That is probably the sanest, since symbolic. Those classifiers used in that MS Silicon record thing aren't a social problem. Yet it is the it's hidden by the heart, tragedy of the commons. All right, so my timer ran down, so I guess I'll start talking about some of my thoughts on AI. So I think one of the most pronounced things that I've noticed is, even though I haven't really used AI for any kind of content creation, because it's been, it was pretty obvious to me early on that any kind of low effort AI content, it would get like heavily suppressed, which has been happening now. There was quite a few YouTube channels that started up with like AI generated videos. I don't know. You guys have probably seen the one, the Rock eating rocks, and like Donald Trump eating spaghetti and stuff. The spaghetti eating videos. Those were popular for a while, and then they got really nerfed, like really really hard. And the first few were getting like millions, but now they get barely any views at all. So obviously, like, it's inevitable that the platforms are going to have to limit AI generated content. Otherwise, like 99.99999% of content is just going to be like auto generated spam. And so that I made it a kind of early decision to just not bother, trying to exploit any of that. I'm sure some people will get very rich by just like churning out, seemingly real videos that are basically just fakes. I want to see more of those spaghetti videos though. Ooh woo. Yeah, there was a decent supply of the spaghetti videos. I think some of the more recent ones have gotten a lot better. Elsa Spider-Man made bank. Yeah, of course, once they discovered that, they had to like completely shut it down pretty hardcore. So, given that fact, I've decided to like when you think from Google's perspective, which do they want more? Do they want more like human beings creating content, or do they want more, auto-generated AI stuff? Because I think eventually what'll happen is like, if people can just churn out these AI generated documentaries and stuff like that, why wouldn't Google just make that? Why wouldn't Google cut out the middleman and just take their vast, crawl all the videos and you do what Google already has done, and then just like have some kind of directory where Google has their own auto-generated videos, and then Google gets 100% of that ad revenue. And to support a system like that, I almost think that it could make sense for moving forward for Google, in addition to giving creators money for ad revenue, giving creators a bit of money just for creating like real human content. Like that could be like another column in your revenue, in your like next to your AdSense or something. It's just like paying the humans to train all the AI models and the next generation of even better AI, because that seems like where things are headed. It's almost made me think that it could make sense for Google to just like make for content creators to just make a lot of the subscribers and stuff fake and like vastly inflate that just to get people to churn out more content. You could have some real people there, but you could kind of just lure content creators into creating more of that real content, and then and then use that as your training data to create all your automated documentaries and so forth. Hey guys, check out my new AI generated NFT projects. Nice. AI image upscaling is also very useful. Yeah, that's an area I could see it being like extremely useful. Just when you have like a sketch of something and you want to just add more plausible details, especially for like video game development or like backgrounds in a movie or something. Mainly thinking about normal search engines, talking about melting eggs and random stuff because of ChatGPT outputs being crawled. Oh, are you talking about crawlers crawling ChatGPT and like getting confused about nonsense? I think greater issues, search engines, years and years of SEO absolutely destroying search results. Yeah, I think there's also been a lot of adversarial stuff. Like I've noticed a lot of weird, like there's been very obscure, like I remember there was something on my receipt. There was like a charge on my credit card, and I Googled, it was this obscure like term because I just wanted to see like what was it, and the only search results that came up were like this weird Russian website, and they were either Russian or Italian .ru or .it for a while. They're just like weird like link farms. But also the algorithms have devolved and gotten worse. Yeah, search getting worse is no joke. It really has gotten worse. I think what's happened is, in order to filter out those bad results, like the ones I just mentioned, like the spam ones, they've had to like throw the baby out with the bathwater. They're like just rejecting a lot of them, and so they're overall to get rid of the like things that are absolute spam and scams. They're throwing out all the good results as well. AI video upscaling is slick. Sometimes makes things oddly smooth. If they figure out AI copyright issues when it comes to creating content, it could kill AI. That's one of my points, is to talk about like copyright and AI, and that's one of those things where like I don't know what's going to happen. It just seems like it's such a powerful force that it's I don't know what I think like copyright is going to have to change, or it's going to become like obsolete. It's going to be like a thing where it's like technically illegal, but like nobody follows the law. Majority of search engine results are attempting to sell you something. I think Google is just optimizing for ads too hard. Yeah, I think they're trying to give people a good experience, because eventually that will sorry for off topic, but earlier today came across someone using our how to make a CPU video on Reddit, and then realized they did not credit you in any way. Yeah, I've noticed a couple people stealing that video and re-uploading it like in sometimes in amusingly bizarre fashion. But I guess that's just how the game goes. I guess it's one of the reasons why I decided to put my face in my video a bit more, is because like that way, even if people steal my video, people will still like attribute the video to my face. Whereas if I just never show my face, then people will think like, oh, this content creator is really good. The models are out there. There's no putting the genie back in the bottle. Yeah, that's definitely true. Do you think we will ever see a government actually with the times when it comes to emerging tech? What do you think that would take? That's a good question. I think the government moves like slowly, and I think if you threaten the power of government, like if I think high profile people in power end up like becoming in jeopardy of like losing their power because of AI, then I think you'll see them move pretty fast on it, which might not happen in like ways we want. I think that's why some people in government have been cracking down on this misinformation, because they're the dangerous misinformation online, because they see situations where someone will spread use online social media to create really effective ad campaigns against them, and they don't really like that. I feel like for text, it's ultimately synonymous with research. Like when I look up something to make content based on it, if I don't immediately owe them rights to my creation, I think AI is the same. Yeah, it's a really it's a very difficult question to answer. I think the only what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to wait for some really high profile court cases where like this will be decided in practice. Next is legit information being harmfully wrong, like those 5-minute crafts. It is a bizarre video. I just watched it. Do you mean my how to make a CPU video? I've seen some AI generated ads on YouTube recently trying to scam people into sending man, what is it with Bitcoin? It's just this still people get like discovering Bitcoin for the first time, getting scammed. It's just it never ends. They still killed Napster after that genie escaped. Yeah, I think the AI thing is like, it's bigger though, because Napster was a company and a brand, but the AI stuff, it's like a general purpose technology. It's like a general program. There's too many archaic old people in government for that to be a thing. You need a technocracy. Yeah, the government we have now is pretty much everywhere is like really behind the times, and I mean, real world on the ground society is changing so fast that I don't know, things are going to change rapidly in some really big ways. Already experienced scammers trying to use family member's voice over the phone. You personally experienced that? Wow. Yeah. So my first point here was there's a lot of things to explore with AI, but one of the most immediate things that I think I'm personally experienced is there's things that I've created a couple times, like because everyone is people heard about this AI and they've been warned about it a lot, and they've heard about got to be aware of this on the news, that like you can't believe everything I see, it might be fake and so forth. And there's a few things I've created where people start to say now, oh, it's just, this is confusing. Is this AI? This is like seems a bit off. It must be fake. Must be auto-generated or something. And I think that's going to become more and more common. And I think we're going to see more and more cases of just like actual genuine people trying to do people just trying to be normal humans and getting like totally chewed out and accused of just using ChatGPT or something like that. And I think we're gonna have this like kind of creeping paranoia where people are just more and more paranoid about like other people doing things unauthentically. And I don't know what the end state of that is going to be, but it's just going to be more and more paranoia about like, is this person ripping me off? And you'll probably have like we already have crazy bosses who suspect you're like stealing from the company or something like that. But imagine like working somewhere as a software developer and like you've got some, clueless manager who's always accusing you of like doing stuff with AI and just making your life really, really difficult. I think we're going to see more and more of that, and it's not really a good thing. I mean, it was bad quality, but yeah, interesting. Yeah, I haven't had that. I know. I actually did have a family member who was scammed via some other thing. We didn't quite figure out how she was scammed, but she did an online search for something pretty innocuous, and then like managed. I guess she probably ended up on like it was an advertisement or something, and she thought it was a legit site and put in her credit card number, and it was like instantly compromised. And it's I mean it's getting really difficult now. Like even I think I saw a statistic that said that Gen Z, like younger people, are actually like it used to be like senile old people you'd expect to get scammed, but actually younger people are getting scammed more now, which is I don't know where things are going to go with that. I'm scared we will be shoehorned into more big tech, big brother AI when open source personalized AI would be the goal. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, there's the whole regulatory capture that companies are going to use. They'll scare us with all these threats of AI and say like you should regulate us, and then they'll use that regulation to improve their monopolies. So the current system of governance does not allow for dynamic and fast growth of laws and organizations. Yeah, the law changes slowly, which is, I mean, in some cases it's a good thing, but when the real world is changing fast, I don't know how it's going to work out. Programmers are still superior. I think that's definitely true for now, anyway. Can't wait for the uprising of AI Luddites. Yeah, it'll probably happen, but I mean, remember what happened to the last wave of Luddites in the Luddite rebellion. I called my bank on the phone and I thought they were AI. Yeah, I mean, you have to be paranoid now. Like everything could be AI. Like maybe it was AI. Those managers are usually looking for a pasty IMHO. Not quite sure what you mean by that, but went through drive-through recently. Had to do a triple take. It was bad. Called real person and AI. Yeah, I think any kind of like communication thing that uses like a compression, like probably the intercom, it probably like modulates the voice a little bit to like compress it, and that would of course make it sound more like AI. Like anything that goes over like a CB radio or any kind of or like even old school like cellular connections that have to save data. It would make sense that they're going to sound a lot more AI because they take out the more human components of the voice. Thinking about MS, talking about zero trust society, and that, and finding some sort of corporate security ad media for it before, and now think about their push for AI in the context of that. Yeah, a zero trust society. That's doesn't sound very nice. I mean, trust is being able to trust people is nice. But I mean, it seems even without the AI stuff, the COVID situation has made everyone lose their minds, and it people in general seem a bit less trustworthy now. It depends on where you are, but this is my favorite live stream. Oh, I'd have to say that's probably my favorite comment in this live stream thread. Younger people are worse and worse with technology because software has been abstracted so much. Yeah, absolutely. I used to teach part time at a local college, and one of the things we would teach the students to do these like IoT projects and stuff. And there's a few websites you can buy like little embedded stuff from, like sparkfun.com, I think, and like there's more and more of these solutions are like more like pre-packaged. Like you buy a board and like plug it in, and it immediately connects to like a server, and it's there's no you don't even need to like build the website, and the REST model and stuff, it's all done. So it's like it's almost like the difference between buying a product and building a product. And it's I mean, even I think I've heard that younger students now don't even have an idea of a file system, because like when you've never seen a file before, and it's even more confusing now because stuff like Windows it just backs up all your files to the cloud, so you don't even know, even if you know what file systems are, it's hard to even follow like where your files are. They will kick out people like me developing tools on LLMA for consumer PCs. Yeah, I don't know. There's I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that cry for regulation of AI. I don't know how that's going to work out for the end consumer. They'll probably just be like, there's only 3 companies that are allowed to develop AI, like Microsoft, Google, and Facebook or something, or and Amazon. Programmers and gardeners should join forces. Yeah, I mean, we could. UK scammed into renting rain. AI. Problem wasn't the audio was bad. It said it sounded good, like professionally recorded. Yeah, it's I mean, the paranoia is warranted. That's the problem. There's going to be more and more people just accusing people of doing things inauthentically or with AI, and they're going to have a good reason to. Mark Zuckerberg just released LLMA 3 on Thursday, and it's open source, but I don't know how open it really is. Yeah, there's also the question about like the weights and like the data it was trained on. Like it's really hard, and that's actually, I think, one of the first things. This is the first time that's happened where it's almost impossible to actually open source these things, because to fully reproduce it, you have to have like you have to like retrain it on the cluster, and unless you have the like $1 million cluster and data center and the huge power connection, you can get a copy of the weights and stuff like that, but you can't fully reproduce the whole thing unless you have the resources. I fear for the new Snapdragon ARM chips coming out. They'll gain ground because everyone wants Apple Silicon, mobile performance, but I get the feeling we'll lose the ability to change OS and more. Yeah, I'm not familiar with Snapdragon, but I mean, I think we're gonna Linux is ubiquitous enough that I think it's gonna have to stay around for at least a while. I mean, there may be some kind of closed ecosystems, but there's still a diehard base that is going to need to boot Linux on stuff. If you considered setting up an IRC, I had some people talked about like maybe setting up a Discord and stuff, and I think eventually I'll set up some kind of like community based thing. For now, I'm not gonna bother with that. I'll just do these live streams. That'll be the community, and chat section and stuff. Actually, I think they're there might be like I think there might be like a members for channel members. There might be like a members discussion section or something like that. I think I made like one post there. AI is truly endgame for big tech, having control over social discourse. They can change facts, weights subtly and powerfully. Yeah, that is a really big deal. Like people are concerned about like outright censorship, but I think just like shifting the weights and like that, because that's so much less obvious, and like no one will notice, and no one can prove anything. It's not like if they just ban you, then you can take them to court. But if they like shadow ban you, like if they not even shadow ban, if they just if they limit your reach, on Twitter, when I post stuff on Twitter, I get almost no views on anything. I think I did a poll, on YouTube, the same poll got like 200 or 300 responses, and on Twitter I got like one response. So like should I be rightfully paranoid that Twitter's censoring me or something? But like maybe my posts just aren't that good on there. It's like the perfect argument to defeat. You can just say like, oh, this person is just selfish and thinks their social media stuff is more important than it actually is. What do you think LLM? How do you pronounce that? Llama has changed in its LLM architecture compared to the original transformer architecture. I don't know enough about it to answer that question with confidence. You make a good point that the big AI companies only have the weights, if I remember right. There was controversy with Google producing 1940s racially diverse. Yeah, that was there's a I watch a podcast, the All In podcast. I think they talk about like financial stuff. They're a bunch of VCs that they fund startups and follow all the Silicon Valley goings on, and they had a section where they talked about like the so-called woke AI prompt in Google, which was producing some amusingly absurd results, always inserting unnecessary diversity into images, which is like that's the kind of thing that I think we would have thought we would see like after a long time of this stuff. But the fact that it was like it was like the very first release of it. But yeah, so anyway, I'll go on to some of my other points, which was so the fact that like this decrease of trust, we're gonna have this like paranoia now with like everything anyone does. We'll always wonder like, is the person in the McDonald's drive-thru, are they AI? It's like, am I AI? And then there's a famous incident with this Samsung. This was the Reddit thread. This is I guess a year ago this came up. But anyway, there was a Samsung camera where you could like, it had a really good optical zoom, and one of the advertisements was you could zoom like right into the moon, and the whole pitch was that you'd get like amazing resolution of like the surface of the moon and stuff. And then it came out that what you could do is you could actually just take a picture of something like a blurry blob in the dark, and then zoom into it, even though it's just like it's a picture of something in your living room, and it would the camera would like recognize the pattern of the moon and then add the detail. So it was faking the shots. And then there was some there was some discussion. I don't know the exact section here, but there was some discussion where they talked about the fact that it was it was deliberately added. They had done some kind of machine learning model to do upscaling or whatever, and so that's a while ago now. And so we're gonna have to think about that for for everything now. Like every phone you get. I mean, I think I remember something about someone saying in Korea, maybe, or it might have been Korea or China, by default, like all phones have filters on them. You have to explicitly turn off the filter because I guess it's so everyone wants to look good there. So they all have face filters so that you look good by default. Like how sometimes I post some things here and it doesn't show in the screen chat. Oh, so some of your posts are getting censored. Interesting. Yeah, I think there might be I might have some kind of moderation thing on. There's there I haven't really touched the moderation. There is some. I think I have. It's like a there's some. It's like a moderation or spam filter or something like that. Because there are occasional like spam messages. But usually I go into, at least for YouTube comments, I'll go into I will go to the flagged comments and like manually enable some of them. Some of them are just like some people post like a single swear word, and I'm just too lazy to even approve them. But is the truth really the truth, or has the truth been altered? Yeah, that's I was thinking about that in terms of like historical documents. Like there's so many interesting historical, like for the Linux commands, I've been going back and going through like the Unix documentation from night talk and seeing like here's where this command came from like 1970 and stuff. And I've often thought what would be really what we should be creating like right now that would be very valuable is some set of like trusted cryptographic signatures that are to like preserve and say like, okay, these are actually real historical documents. Like this is the way the Unix programmer's manual actually was in 1970 according to so and so today, because long term in the future, we'll be able to ask ChatGPT, say like, give me something that looks like a historical document of the Unix programmer's manual from 1970, but imagine that this and this and this was changed away. And so like all these historical documents from like 100 years ago, we could just like make fake variations of them and we won't know what's the actual history. Like we could create like 5,000 clones of Wikipedia where every single historical battle and like ancient Rome was totally different and like all the battles were different, and like how would anyone know? Just imagine you take a photo of your kid's soccer game and see your kid is a superhero capable of moving the moon with one swing of the foot. Yeah, I mean that stuff is going to be high in demand, and it'll be built in your phone, mandatory, and you won't be able to turn it off. To feel the cloud is leading us into a future where knowledge will not exist beyond AI training sets, alongside the garbage being pushed by search engines and siloing of info and Discord, etc. I mean, it's hard to say. There's like companies want all that stuff because it maximizes profit, but then I'm sure like you'll have some people who want to like, I mean, all of the above will happen. Like different people are going to pursue their own different interests, and it's going to get everything is going to get confusing. Reminds me of Apple and Google both having big trouble taking photos of black people. Yeah, I know that's been various kinds of like even I think in some washrooms where like there's a soap dispenser and you put your hand under it. I think that if your skin tone is like a bit too much one way, that it just wouldn't work, because I guess presumably no one tested it on that. in theory, get a similar amount of samples of visually distinct groups, but somehow it's a struggle in the current year. Everyone would have to make their scientific journal for repeatable outcomes. I can imagine so many bad uses for cryptographic documents. It's difficult. I also worry that the entire attempt to enforce that type of cryptography is purely for regulatory capture purposes. I guess you mean just like cryptographically signing that a document's authentic. Yeah, I guess we could have some kind of weird thing where the government mandates you have to cryptographic. That, I guess, yeah, because that could mean that there's a central trust authority that literally defines the truth, and that any document that's ever created, like if you have a receipt for something, the government has to cryptographically sign your receipt, otherwise it's not valid or something. Question is, could you just be swindled to signing off bad data? Yeah, that's I'm sure that'll happen. I'm sure Google or OpenAI can implement that, but some open source project, good luck. That's not how Wikipedia works. I assume you mean like people just adding bad data, but I mean people do. There's all kinds of weird bad actors who are always trying to sway Wikipedia one way or another. I think he's talking about fake copies of Wikipedia. There with Stack Overflow. Big bro, do you do microcontrollers hacking? I'd say not really. I mean, I learn about it. I have some the videos that I have on it are about the extent of my knowledge on the subject. The most powerful thing about AI is SLAs and NDAs. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, AI and NDAs keep people from talking about it, but that's only one aspect. Should be trivial to check for data cleaning is well engineered. If we can create postulates of validity and then truth, then some networks could verify or deny some information of a document based on these. And a proven document could be added to a blockchain. Yeah, I mean, blockchain is the ultimate solution to everything. Just add everything to a blockchain, I guess. Postulates of validity and truth. I don't know. I'm not as optimistic. Many phones request permission and will not allow recording, much more than people think. GPS chips sets phone home. Wikipedia talk section really show that Wikipedia is largely accurate, but on any controversial topic, especially when there are state interests, there sure is a lot more interest in rephrasing. Yeah, there's a few like interesting politically sensitive things that I've noticed. I've definitely noticed the articles change, like really tone it down over time. I hereby revoke your information validation private key because you said that you disagreed with our stance on XYZ war overseas. Yeah, that's that could be a potential future. Okay, so I talked about like trust. The trusting images, and I mean it's almost surreal that we even can't, like, just having like a regular DSLR camera, you can't trust that photo. I mean the moon upscaling thing, that's pretty that's not really a big deal, but imagine something in the future that tries to like beautify your face or something like that, and you take a picture, but it changes the person's face to like a different person's face, and then some facial recognition thing. Like imagine if you have a beautifier app, and then it tries to beautify like a famous celebrity, but that celebrity gets like wanted for something, and so then all the casino cameras or something start like flagging people for and sending the police out to arrest them or something. So that's going to be a huge thing we're going to have to deal with. And of course, there's the issue of like evidence in court. I think there's already been a few cases of that where someone will say something. People have tried to say in court, like, "Oh, you have a video of me doing such and such a thing." That's just, that's just AI. It's fake. You can't trust it. And I think for the most part, probably judges have been like, that's not we don't really buy that argument. But I think increasingly what will happen is, judges might get a bit overly dismissive of it, and then all you need is a few pieces of case law where a judge simply dismisses a really critical piece of evidence, saying or they dismiss someone's counterclaim to say like, oh, this is AI generated, I didn't do this, and they'll say like, well, that's pretty extraordinary. And then I think some judges will have some wake up calls where they realize like, oh wow, I actually I sentenced someone to prison based on this video of them supposedly stealing something or whatever, but it was completely fake. It's a lot of comments to catch up on there. Will you share your recipe to make CPUs with Iran? I hear they have some really good rockets. I think it would be a violation of ITAR to share critical information with Iran. But my how to make a CPU video is pretty general. So you can't even trust your own devices anymore. Just the fact that the phone manufacturers will report to police, sometimes without warrants, your position as well as removing your ability to record. Yeah, hopefully, depends on where you are, but there's supposed to be police have always been able to wiretap you, and the hope is that they will actually do that in good faith. They'll get like a warrant and they'll have just cause for it and stuff. But it seems, I guess we don't know what they do behind the scenes. I know I've certainly seen documentaries where there's this creeping interest in just like bulk collection and bulk continuous monitoring of everyone for any cause. Beautifier where everyone is Kim Jong-un. Yeah. I think you would be able to get around the footage trust factor if you retrieve footage from said device in the presence of police, so police can testify authenticity of the footage. Well, I guess depends what you mean by retrieve, because it could be at the time of recording. Like if you program the phone in a certain way, or like you could just program the phone to produce plausible, you could turn on like an AI upscaling feature, and then you record someone stealing something, and then it AI upscales it, but it adds all this detail about your Facebook friends or something. Or I get the feeling that for regular people, AI video is an argument won't work at all, but for the rich, 3D multi-angle video with multiple eyewitnesses counts. It's probably AI. Wrote a thing in college that was dash cam, but changes the red lights to green lights. I wrote a thing in college that was dash. Oh, that sounds like one of those not so legal, devices that you're not supposed to interfere with traffic lights. One of those I guess I know Flipper Zero was able to do some basic stuff like that, but I guess it's probably good to get awareness on the fact that anyone can change those things. I think ambulances actually have there's some communication between, like, ambulances can switch the lights, which I guess is a good thing, but it should probably be behind some protection. Anyone here know cool stuff about electronics? I'm sure there's at least some people who do. Love your CPU video. I now have a ton of CPUs and 0 rocks around my house. That's good. That's the way it should be. This is my favorite live stream. Yeah, that's probably my my favorite comment in this entire live stream. Bro really skips my comments. Bruh. I think they mean footage so that they can show the officer, say, oh no, officer, that light was green. See, okay, just like general dash cam footage. Say uwu. Yeah, so the one issue is, which I just mentioned, is like the plausibility of evidence in court. But then, of course, SAQ, you spam too many comments and they are so abstract. Yeah, I guess it's not too many. I'll have to practice a bit more with the moderation features. I was planning to just start this live stream a bit earlier, but once again, it was kind of almost a last minute thing. I started like almost an hour or 2 hours later than I had intended to originally. But yeah, for future of copyright, that's another huge change. And I mean, the other big thing about all this AI stuff is, it's going to be such a big deal that it's going to change society in so many ways. There's so many different individual ways there. If you just focus on just that way, that specific dimension of how AI will affect society, it's absolutely going to change everything. But the fact that we have the convergence of all of them at once, because I mean, even I don't know, when you think about like the first initial change from like typewriters and automatic counting machines to computers, like that only changed one specific area immediately. Like it changed tabulation and accounting and stuff like that became revolutionized. But now we have like so many sectors that are going to be totally disrupted. And copyright is actually a really big deal. There's like so much of our economy is underpinned by copyright. I mean, it's not so much economically speaking. Copyright is not as accessible to individuals, but for like companies like Netflix and stuff, and all these companies like the rights holders, like Taylor Swift and all the big media companies and stuff. Copyright is their lifeblood. It's like how they maintain control of the reason that Disney still exists is because of their extremely litigious nature in enforcing their copyright protections. And this new world of AI, we still don't have clear decisions on how that's actually going to play out, about how the courts are actually going to deal with AI for copyright. Let me catch up on comments. They changed the firmware to the lights. Sounds like this sort of legal radar detector interference detectors which jam IR measurements for around 5 seconds to allow you to avoid a ticket. Built a coil gun with disposable cameras. Oh no, how will Taylor Swift buy her 4th yacht? Well, I mean, it's, the average person doesn't care much about Taylor Swift's royalties, but the thing is, Taylor Swift cares a lot about that, and Taylor Swift has a lot of money, and so does there's so much money invested in those people, and it's not just Taylor Swift. There's so many, it's the entire industry, and if we allowed copyright infringement to just kind of go rogue, like it almost seems like in Silicon Valley, there's this like land rush to try and just like gobble up as much data as possible and like violate as much copyright as possible to almost like overwhelm the system. And I think the courts are going to have to play catch up on this. And then I think once there's actually some rules and laws around this, that'd be a kind of like a chilling effect where people will, well, look, there was that, I think the first like AI generated images. Remember when they all had like that Shutterstock logo that was like right in the AI. It was like if you say like, hey, generate an image of a guy playing football or something, it would have Shutterstock in it. Stuff like that is, they're going to claw back that a lot. But the other really big aspect of that is it depends on the jurisdiction that you're in. And I think Japan announced that they were going to not have, they were going to say that you could use AI to produce stuff. And I think they were saying that any AI that's trained on copyrighted works, the outputs from it, we will not recognize a copyright to it. And that could create, like, it's not just about the US, because you could have one country that just doesn't obey this copyright system, and then that allows you to use the output from these AIs. And then what would happen would be there would be like a land rush where everyone moves their media corporation to that country, where you can just like basically, you can effectively launder all of your copyrighted works through that jurisdiction. The line is going to be blurred forever. Technically, it's legal, but also not legal. Yeah, it's. I was thinking about the case where, what would you do? Like, let's say you had a photo. Actually, I have my reference here for. So these were my, 3 portraits. And by the way, this was I said that a couple of things I had created. Someone had so it said like, oh, is this AI? And someone I commissioned an artist to make these, but I did get a couple of comments where people were like, oh, these did you get an AI to make these? I actually started the request for these like just a little bit before the kind of land rush of all the flurry of all those AI tools. But I was almost thinking about because AI was getting big around the time, about like publishing these and putting just to make a point out of it, making one of them public domain, and then one of them like Creative Commons license, and then the other one is like all rights reserved or something, and then have do the thought experiment of like what happens if you blur together these images, and like you take 1% of the first one and 99% of the second one, and then or like 1% of the first one, 1% of the second one, and then 98% of the third one. Like what is the license on that? Like if you were to test that in court, how do you like decide on the license of like remixing a bunch of different works that are under different licenses? And even if you just don't use AI, if you just do like a linear transformation, you take like some linear weighting, 1%, have only 1% opacity of the first one, 99% of the second one. It's an interesting thought experiment to like. I don't know what a court would decide. It'd be interesting to know what they would decide, because even without AI, it becomes a really difficult question. For me, it comes down to trust. Do I trust anything on the internet? Absolutely. It's amazing how so many people do. If you generate as much fake info as possible, what is the truth and facts? Yeah. TS breakups are, I'll probably take Taylor Swift breakups are a franchise. I had a capacitor bank, powerful Tesla coil. Just saw a video with her with Post Malone. Was hoping he would recover. Guys, what's the topic? Seems like a Pandora's box situation. Yeah, it is. And I mean, what's going to matter most, I think, is whatever the courts decide. Once the courts start, once we see some lawsuits, and then we see the results of those, I actually kind of have a feeling that like there's so much money around having copyright that it's going to be, it's not going to be possible to like we can't get rid of copyright. We're going to have to recognize it. Like, I think some people will initially say we are, that it's okay to just use AI to generate all these works and stuff like that. But I think there's going to be so much money to fund the lawsuits to start restricting it and put some kind of limits on it that it'll have to happen. AI is evolving. It's cool. Like humans, IG. I need to learn the neural network and use it to make real AI and not GPTs. We will need an AI lawyer to represent us in court. Yeah, the thing is, like, AI lawyers, ChatGPT is good at making stuff that like looks like real legalese, but it like the stuff it says doesn't necessarily stand up in court very well. The toothpaste is out of the tube. Yeah, I think we're going to see an epic battle between the unstoppable force of like Disney and all the lobbying and stuff versus all the just random individuals who have like a GPU and have like a small model running on their local computer. It's going to be it'll be kind of amusing to watch things play out. I have a feeling that these big companies like Disney and stuff like that, they're gonna fight against this, but there's going to be so much AI generated content. I don't think they'll be able to get rid of it all. And I'm sure there'll be lots of case law, but then the courts might get overwhelmed too, because like, what happens if we have 500 million copyright infringement cases? Like the courts are just going to be like, we can't, like, what do we even do? Do we just throw out all these cases? Or will we have like you guys are saying, like a bunch of we'll have some super cluster of AIs, ChatGPT AIs fighting other AIs to see if if a given image is copyrightable or not, or if there are damages for publishing it, or for a song, or 40,000 in UK can only a judge. Same with code. Make stuff that might look good at first, but is contextually nonsense. AI judges ruling over lawsuits written by AI lawyers. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the future looks like in that respect. I think everything falls apart when people think AI is the work rather than a tool to help structure the work. Yeah, it's the thing is, though, in the, at least in the legal context, you still have to think about the legal implications of the work, or of the output of the AI. AI is already in healthcare, but it's becoming more and more integrated into the profession and fine-tuned. I feel if it's safety regulated, most forms of technology are beneficial to healthcare. Yeah, as long as it doesn't end up, as long as it's like people with a brain who are like revising it or like reviewing the outputs and making sure it's not like doing something really dumb, like it's just it's learning that if your name starts with a certain letter or something, or like looking at irrelevant information and then diagnosing you based on that, which I could see it, so like 1,000 people getting misdiagnosed because their name is like John or something like that, and it's like picking up on trends in names or something. Big bro, what's this? And then it said, is it dangerous to run it? Can you show me 100 more codes like this? Hello bro, like an AI generated DDoS on the legal system. Yeah, I think that's coming, an AI DDoS on the legal system. I've never seen this channel before, but it popped up and recommended. Who are you? In 1 minute. I think you are teaching Linux channel. So I have a whole bunch of Linux shorts videos. That's where a lot of my subscribers came from. And then I have a video on how to make a CPU that got a lot of views in the That's probably my most popular video over the last couple of days. And then I have a bunch of other I made some long form technology videos over the past, mostly in the month of March. Calculation used to the work. Now it's the tool. I think we're sure to get more advanced tasks, but there will be replacements. My thoughts on AI: it's very good. If you want to make a fake commercial, I did it. Don't roast me, okay? Yeah, the fake commercials were pretty impressive, and some of them were pretty horrifying. In the future, there will be contextual engineers to help define requirements for generative AI to make business products, etc. Yeah, I think that seems like the most likely place we're going. Sorry, you have cancer. Your name starts with a J. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking. It's like it'll pick up. I think I actually did recall. There was one of these models where it was like, what it was focusing on was how old the machine was that was taking these X-rays, and it said like if the machine is older, then you're more likely to have cancer or something. I just watched how to make a CPU. Tell me if it was fake or not. Depends what you mean by fake. If you didn't get what I mean, that code was a bash fork bomb. I said I should run it. Show me 100 codes that I shouldn't run. Basically, it gave me dangerous codes. Did it actually give you back other dangerous examples? I see you had a mild cough and you came in previously for a broken toe. I'm afraid you need your arm amputated. Yeah, I mean, it's healthcare is so awful. Like even with humans, like I had a relative who went in. She like tripped and like sprained her wrist, and then she went in for an X-ray, and then her X-ray was up on the wall, and the doctor came in and was like, yeah, we're going to get you into surgery right away. You will probably never use that wrist again. It's really bad. And she was like, oh man, that's awful. And then she was looking at the X-ray and she was like, wait a minute, I don't have a ring on this finger, because in the X-ray there was a ring on one of the fingers. And then the doctor's like, oh, I'll be right back. And then come to find out there was some other woman who had an X-ray that day, and they just mixed up the X-rays, and so they wanted to amputate on her, or they wanted to operate on her wrist and do all this stuff, do all this invasive surgery that probably would have caused more damage, and it was totally unnecessary just because they mixed up the X-rays. I think I missed some. Similarly, in academia, AI text generation isn't really detectable. No way to prevent students from AI generating their homework, coursework, and essays. Soon teachers will have AI setting the work. Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely true. Because, I mean, you can do adversarial, anytime you can use AI to detect if something is AI, that's immediately training data for the next generation of better AI. Terrifying concept. Maybe we should avoid using it for diagnosis until it's more advanced. If it's ever even possible for it to be consistently accurate and safe. In my view, the worst problems are they're almost the out of band problems. It's not about whether the AI is, the math is programmed correctly. It's the AI is trained on all this stuff, and then you feed in the wrong data set. So it's like the person who puts in the data is training it they're looking for liver tumors and stuff, but then someone feeds it in the brain tumor data set, and so it trains on the wrong thing, and it just gets totally messed up. Or just like that example I said with the human being, the doctor talking to the wrong person and getting the X-rays mixed up. Just want to know, how safe are software engineers and programmers for near future or 10 years? That's a good question. The economy is in a very transitionary state right now. I mean, anyone who's been in the job market, I've been hearing, it's just there's so much chaos. It's difficult for people applying, but it's also difficult for the people interviewing, because so many of the resumes are just like all the same, or they're fake, or they're ChatGPT generated. And I think in the long term, people are kind of expecting, like, there's a lot of long term things that will happen. Certain things will become obsolete, but they're not obsolete yet. And you know, in the context of engineering, you're always wanting to, like, you know, build the next thing. But in businesses tend to focus on, like, what is working right now. Because right now, I'm sure there's a lot of people saying, like, oh, you should do this AI thing. This AI thing will replace all your people and stuff like that. But for a business operator, a lot of them are, like, a bit more skeptical. They're like, maybe we can experiment with that. But on a day-to-day basis, like, you know, for customer service or something, they might still be, like, hiring. They might say, like, maybe we can eliminate all our customer service people, but let's, like, you know, do it a little bit slower. So we may, I think the broad scale elimination of software jobs will, if it happens, it's going to take a bit longer, because business people are going to be more skeptical. Idiocracy butt thermometer seen with X-ray. Sorry, I don't think I've seen that. That's not the first time. There's a guy in Florida that won $10 million because they amputated the wrong leg and ended up amputating both. Oh wow, what a! I don't know. I don't even know if 10 million is enough for that. As a current nurse, state healthcare is in right now is incredibly frustrating. Most of the doctors I work with are incredibly intelligent, but then some scare me, and some nurses too. Yeah, there's I have met there's a surprisingly large amount of doctors that are, like, psychopaths, and I don't know. That's unfortunate. I mean, some doctors are, like, amazing. Some doctors have just, like, terrible bedside manner. Robert, your CPU video got on my recommendations just now. That's why I'm here. Yeah, my that video has been trending quite a bit. It took, like, over 2 years to get to, like, 60,000 views, and then it got, like, up to 1 million within like last couple of days. The winners are winning, and the normies are in the dirt. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be some subset of people that do extremely well in the next little while, but a lot of people are just trying to keep their head above water. I mean, if you watch my NVIDIA video, you'll know that if I had the chance to go to NVIDIA years ago, over 10 years ago now, and if I had just taken that job, which didn't even seem that competitive at the time, and then took all the stock options, that would have, I would have been a multi-millionaire by now. Some of the winning in this environment, it's almost seeming like actually working is not the best strategy in life anymore. You have to like pick the right crazy thing and get lucky, or you have to, like, buy a house at the right time or something. But, like, even in real estate, but the housing market is so inflated. I'd almost be afraid, like, what if the bubble pops in 5 years or something? I think we need laws in place to have similar sample sizes of different demographics. Get crazy accuracy, and then find out they only work for college-aged Caucasian men, because that's who signed up for the initial study. Yeah, there's a big discrepancies in, like, how much different people appreciate these, like, sample issues. Some people are, some researchers do so much stuff, especially, like, the sociology ones. They do like really small sample sizes on, like, students at the local school, and then they'll look for some, like, really specific pattern, but they'll almost, like, try to force a pattern upon the data set and then publish papers on it. I mean, there's a bunch of YouTube videos about some of the recent controversies on that. It's a fair fact of teaching independence and self-reliance to the young ones. I'm afraid they might not understand, since they're iPad kids. Yeah, I mean, that's even another dimension. We've got all these AI changes, and then all kids now, they're all just iPad kids, so they don't even understand what a file system is, and they can only understand things if it's in like TikTok form. I worry about the way AI is currently being pushed so heavily. When shit hits the fan, people will blame the AIs to avoid accountability for a situation AI wasn't suitable. Yeah, that's you. I think really well articulated. One of probably my biggest concerns about AI is it's AI is an artificial agent, so it's going to be a really convenient scapegoat for a lot of people to kind of like launder their really really bad behavior, where they can like program the AI. They can program the AI in a very deliberate, biased way to get it to do something bad on purpose, and then later they'll be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that the AI would do that." Like, I'll just write some articles about the dangers of AI, and we'll make sure this doesn't happen again. And best strategy: be born to rich parents. Yeah, that's I think a pretty good life strategy. All right, it's after midnight. I still hadn't got through most of my. I'm gonna try to run through some more of my points and close down this topic. So AI powered scamming. That's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, all these difficulties with like understanding whether stuff is real or not. I mean, scamming is already really bad, but especially with like the voice stuff. And I mean, one of you already mentioned that you've got like an AI powered deepfake voice. It's and especially when you're like, even for me doing something like this, like this is the perfect thing to take a sample and try to you could deep fake my face and all that kind of stuff, and this stuff is just getting better so much faster. And I think I think people can cope psychologically with scams, but when like there's a critical mass where I think people will just break, like especially old people who really already have a shaky understanding of like computers, it's just going to be psychologically exhausting, and it's going to drive them totally nuts. Give Idiocracy a watch. I rewatched it recently and returned from a comedy thriller to a dystopian prediction. Yeah, actually, I don't watch too many movies at all, but I'll make a note of that one. Yes, AI will scapegoat it for sure. Absolutely correct. Perfect cover. Yeah, AI powered scamming. Every other new AI startup. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with all this burst of AI startups. If how many of them are still around in a few years. Finally, I just woke up and didn't miss the stream completely. Yeah, I need to figure out a more stable time to stream. I guess recently I've been doing, I think this is my fourth in a row, I've been doing once a week. This is pretty manageable. In our group, we already have developed checks such as nonsense phrases and gestures. We predetermine this IRL and then use it to check while in video conferencing. Yeah, that's what we have to do now. Watch Idiocracy, Robert. All right, I'll have to make a note of it. All right, at least I'll have to watch some YouTube clips or something to get the key insights. Completely unrelated, but since it sounded like you were hopping off soon, I wanted to let you know absolute magnetic coders, R-type, nylon, rivets, and KiCad. Interesting. I've used KiCad a little bit, mainly just to look at a student's project. Garbage in, garbage out. AI dataset got too much garbage in it. Glad I caught a bit of the stream. Gotta go. Study stuff. I'm procrastinating. Yep. Get those studying hours in. Throw finger signs on Zoom calls. Make sure people are real. Yep, that's what you have to do now. Okay, my next point was another big thing, and this kind of goes back to what I said about the models, how you can't, there's almost no way to do open source models now, because to actually train the models, you can't, even if you have the code, you can't train the model locally. So you can't reproduce all the output weights. You can't check and verify everything. But that also it leaves like it leaves more room for like, fake experts and charlatans, and even stuff like if I talk about like plumbing or something, if I say like, I know all about plumbing, to do plumbing on your sink, you need this type of pipe, and it has to look this way, and so much, it's got to have this certification and stuff. And if I say a bunch of stuff, someone else who's a plumber can confirm or deny whether what I've said is correct or not. They can say like, I'm an actual plumber, I have a certification and stuff, and I can say, the type of pipe they're talking about is wrong. Or they can, like, you can just Google the specifications. Like, there's going to be some document out there. There's something there's examples in the real world that you can cite about who is like what actual experts say. And you can also conduct the experiments. And even in like physics and stuff like that, like, you can always conduct a physical experiment. You can always conduct measurements. But because of the fact that these models are so big, it leaves a space for people who are like, can just like make up stuff. Like I could say, if I make a specific claim, like I claim that it is possible to get basically, general AI from a data set that's the size of Wikipedia, or that you can get to some certain, you can pass a certain benchmark using only Wikipedia and, the images and stuff as a data set in some specific context. And we're going to get to a point where even if you are an expert, even if you spent your entire life doing AI, you won't know if that's correct or not, because you'd have to actually run the model and test it. And if you don't have a cluster to actually run this experiment on, you don't know. You just kind of have to take that person's word for it. And if an expert can't tell if another expert is full of it or not, how is the public going to tell? Like, we're going to have all these people. I'm sure we're going to have all these like Senate hearings where some AI expert will come in to talk to Congress about, here's what you should do with AI, and here's the big risks and stuff. But no one will know. Even the experts won't know if these people are full of it or not. But programming languages, what I need to code an educational website that changes the difficult questions based on correct, incorrect answers. Programming languages to code an educational website. You'd need some kind of server. Just you could do any of the server-side languages. So just Google for list of server-side programming languages. PHP. I guess a lot of people do JavaScript stuff these days, TypeScript, Node.js. It's a really broad topic. Oh, also stepper drivers mean you basically don't have to worry about voltage, as they have settable currents. You want yourself some TMC 2209 to make your stepper motor projects much easier. I guess you're referencing my other videos about the motor driver projects. Perfect time, lazy Sunday afternoon. I guess it's like, well, it's no longer Saturday night. It's a very early morning Sunday, right here. Relatively new to PCB design, and using ChatGPT, you definitely have to develop a BS detector because it will say things so confidently. Yeah, I noticed that that was one of my key complaints. It's in a way, ChatGPT is like, it's almost worse than someone who's bad, because like if you ask someone like a really coworker who has no idea what they're doing, and they tell you like wrong, obviously wrong stuff immediately, you can learn to be like, okay, I just have to discount what this person says. But with ChatGPT, like sometimes it says sometimes it really does know more than you. But then at other times it just says like total nonsense. It's really, it requires a lot of brain power to even, to see through what ChatGPT is saying. Okay, what if everyone in the room lies about something and the AI is being trained on it? Yeah. Recently, I asked it, what are the stats for 140 watt USB PD with full confidence? It said 20 volt 7A. If I didn't know that the best USB cables according to spec were 5 amp max, that would be a fire hazard. Yeah. Yeah, and it's almost amusing how confident it can be wrong. Oh no, not the TikTok hearings again. That's already happening. There are so many frameworks for full stack dev. Personally, I would use a WebSocket server in Python that takes previous answers and prompts new options, render everything with JS and HTML. Yeah, I guess it really depends what you want to do with this educational website. There's lots of ways to go. Too much to go into for this discussion. I've been for many years. I've also noticed ChatGPT becomes more bullshitty with the new 3.5 censorship. Yeah, I haven't even come to really understand the subtle differences between the versions of ChatGPT. Thanks, Robert, for the tips. I'm trying to create a website for nurses to use for their nursing career, to study and improve their success in school. Having tests that change is a part using JS and HTML and CSS. Oh, were you the person who said you were working in nursing? Yeah, I mean, in terms of people who are asking about like jobs and stuff, I think that's that may actually be like one of the the secrets to getting a good career is being at some kind of boundary between kind of like a non-traditional career path, something that's like like something to do with healthcare and like nurses, where I think the average nurse doesn't know a lot about software development, but I think that's if you think about the kinds of tasks that nurses have to do, there's probably a lot where nurses could benefit from having more like even I remember I had a relative who he was and his mother was quite elderly and needed medication on a regular basis, and he was saying like all we need is we just need some regular like piece of software that like reminds the nurses to give the people their medication at the right time. And it was just essentially like, this is even just a few years ago. It's such a basic operation, but there's I guess the way the system worked, this need was just not getting fulfilled. My goal is to be an ISSO at a hospital. Not sure what that term is. You the guy that made how to make a CPU funny vid. Thank you. When there's a gold rush, sell shovels. Yeah, I mean that especially applies to the AI stuff. Like that's why NVIDIA is in the perfect business right now for that. And I'm sure there's probably like other stuff like companies that makes power supplies, like power supplies that power hardcore GPU rigs and stuff like that. Those are probably perfect industries to be in. People who made just mad dollars from being at the right place at the right time, getting into good graces of some directors while happen to be the guy that suggests the system hospital admin to have close enough to software and certification. Goldmine. I'm wary of people who tell you to do some XYZ JavaScript framework. Yeah, the problem is JavaScript frameworks is their lifetime seems to be so short. I don't know how many times I've learned a JavaScript framework and then it just, people stop using it after a couple of years, or they upgrade the version and it's non-backward compatible. I think you're out of focus or on low resolution. Yeah, I think I actually have the focus set. I think I had it set to be, so I was in focus here. I have the aperture wide open, so if I go back like this, it'll be really out of focus. NVIDIA is promising natural language programming. Maybe this will help nurses and others who are not as technically skilled at programming, developing apps. I think it'll still be a problem because a lot of times, like, natural language is not even like, people don't realize. Normal people who don't program don't realize how many ambiguities there are in the things that they say, and ultimately you have to be more specific to iron those out. You have an external locus of control. Abstractions on top of abstractions is what JavaScript frameworks are. Yeah, I've kind of gotten away from JavaScript frameworks because it just it really didn't seem like something that there's a lot of future for. Okay, so I guess maybe I'll try to rush through some of this. I think I've been. How long have I been streaming for? Probably almost 2 hours now. Yeah. So some of the other things I wanted to say about AI were a lot of people are concerned with this, like, crazy runaway development that we're going to have, like, or runaway artificial general intelligence that's going to, like, take over the world. And I think in the near term, that's not going to happen, because ultimately, like, you can only become so smart within the limits of the computer. Like, eventually it's going to run out of power and, like, the materials, and like, if it's going to start trying to controlling stuff, like, if there's going to be, like, a robot army uprising, the thing is, where are the motors going to come from? And the servos that controlled the robots for this robot uprising, and, like, we don't have enough copper available right now, so we're gonna have to, like, the AI is gonna have to figure out how to start new copper mines and stuff, and, like, the lead time to do copper mine exploration it's just there's too many, like, real world constraints that are going to limit any kind of, like, short term exponential runaway of this. Yeah, I'll have to pay a bit less attention to comments to get through this in time. But the next point I had was iterative self improvement. So this is one of the things where I was thinking, like, what if we really did get some kind of AGI? How could that happen? And I mean, what if I was actually working on ChatGPT? One of the first things I would start doing with it is I would immediately start thinking about how to take ChatGPT's code and load it into ChatGPT, and then I could start asking ChatGPT, like, because, like, we have access to the public facing, like, totally censored model and stuff like that. But what about the people who work on ChatGPT? The first thing I think about is loading in all the code and then asking, like, make your own source. Like, I would say something like, propose one line of code to delete from your source code that will reduce the code by one line, and it makes it just a slightly little bit faster, and then just, like, repeat that prompt, and then just do it as, like, and I mean, you could almost fully automate this too, where you could say, like, propose one line to delete, then actually delete it, and then have, like, a scripted process where you delete one line and then you actually run you actually rerun ChatGPT on all its own benchmarks to so that make sure it actually compiles, and then make sure it actually is faster, and then it doesn't have any regressions, and then basically just keep repeating that process. And if you could even put variations on the question, like you could say like delete one line of code from a specific module, or you could say like swap 2 lines of code, or you could propose various kinds of things to just say like make it like 0.001% more efficient. And I do think that's like, if we were going to have some kind of runaway AGI, that's how it would actually start. It would be like some iterative self-improvement. I just imagine ChatGPT iteratively destroying itself in a comical fashion. Well, the thing is, you could put it in a test harness. So you could say like do this change to yourself, and then like try to compile it. And if it doesn't compile, discard that. But because that's what ChatGPT is really good for. It's like make 10,000 guesses. Make 10,000 guesses that try to make yourself a little bit faster, more efficient. And if any one of them is good, then you just immediately use that as the next best one. That's like, I am a strange loop. I'm not familiar with that specific term, strange loop, but it's probably, I'll have to look it up. You should check out PHIND. PHIND does a similar thing you were seeking. Interesting. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that. I'll have to look it up. And I've almost thought about maybe there's like maybe the actual power way to leverage ChatGPT is going to be like a very different way of programming, because I've kind of thought it's like when I was working with ChatGPT, it's almost like you kind of have to like thread the needle. You have to like list off a set of constraints. So the way I ended up using it, I almost felt like I had to say like, okay, create a program that complies with the following constraints, and it eventually got good at like actually kind of threading the needle to get me a piece of code that actually did all the things. But then of course, as the context window got bigger, as it got bigger, it was kind of less, it would forget some things. So I'd say like, hey, you didn't have that constraint, and then it'd be like, oh, sorry, and then it would give me something that actually did comply with that constraint, but it would forget some of the other constraints. So as it is able to like understand more and more of that stuff, as the context window gets bigger, it seems like it can actually hold more of those constraints and satisfy them. But then on the other hand, it seems like to really get any use out of it, it seems like you would have to say like, build me a program that complies with these constraints, but in addition to that, also generate the test cases that test the constraints. And so I could almost think about it like as some kind of like a zipper type thing, where you have to like build the two kind of complementary parts of the program together. You have to build one end, which is like specifying the constraints, and then something can actually test the constraints. And I think that's something that this kind of like the guessing ability of one of these GPTs could actually be good at. And if you could find a way to be very productive at programming this way, that seems like what might actually be the niche way to write programs with these models. The only thing PHIND doesn't do is run the actual code, but it does do self-correction prompts and queries to the user. They don't do that at the moment due to a runaway effect. Yeah, I think like the actual like runaway AGI thing would be like as an integration step. So you'd have you start with like a bash script that just says while true, kick off this ChatGPT request, take the results, like and then run like the time command, and like actually run a benchmark. So like some of the stuff would be outside of ChatGPT, but ChatGPT would just like propose the changes, and then you empirically test them, and so your test would be very simple. Just say like, does it compile? Does it pass the basic benchmarks? And is it a little bit more efficient? I think a big secret problem with this strategy is that secretly all the LLMs are 10,000, 100,000 data entry workers. I don't know, I know some of the AI, the AIs were actually just people doing stuff, but like ChatGPT is there's no way it can be people. It has to be real. Like it's too fast. Like the prompts come back too fast. I do think that you are somewhat onto something, and then one day almost all programmers will be prompters, where we will craft situations for AI to navigate. That's how I got started. 2001. Data entry for OCR program. ChatGPT explains the media. To prevent the dilemma is by diversifying algorithmic alignments. In graph theory, you could use weighted paths, costs, etc. There's going to be systems engineers to create those requirements in a prompt engineering way. I don't mean it's actively people. What I mean is that the gains from a great deal of human labor. Yeah, I imagine there's a lot of stuff like Mechanical Turk and stuff being used to bootstrap this stuff. But of course, also now that they're probably figuring out how to a way to use the way people are actually engaging with ChatGPT now as itself a new form of training data. So if you actually subscribe, pay the $20 a month, you're probably also training the model. Yeah, and the last point I had on that was, let me get on here. It's almost like a test-driven development, like where they say you should write the test cases first, and that kind of seems like because you can't trust these LLMs to be right, but if you can like kind of build both sides, so if you can build something, if you can generate a whole bunch of automated unit tests and test to see if it's actually doing the right thing. So if you can build like tell the AI to make 1 million test cases, and then tell it to make a program that passes all 1 million test cases, then you don't necessarily like it could make a bunch of empty test cases, but at least you have something that's like quite a bit closer to the end product. And then you could actually so now you have a running program that passes all unit tests, and then you can actually just run it and maybe use the next generation of AI to like ask it like, hey, what does this program do? And then if it tells you, if it says like, oh, this is a calculator program or something, and that's what you actually wanted, then maybe you can actually trust that output. Yeah, and there were a few more points I was going to think about. I didn't have a lot of time to prepare for this live stream, but one of the final points I had was about people are getting kind of down on themselves about that AI is going to replace us. But one thought that I had was AI human outputs are always going to be more valuable, even when the human is wrong. So I think we're still going to have a need for human programmers, and even like people who are bad programmers. There's still data. Like if you imagine, if you had a data set of like thousands of examples of merge sort that are written by programmers that contain subtle bugs, that's still a very useful and valuable data set. Because if you ask GPTs to write merge sort and there's a bunch of mistakes in it, the bias in those mistakes is going to be different than the types of mistakes that actual humans are going to make. And so if you have real human mistakes, that is still useful training data that can be used for improving the model in the future, because ultimately the humans interact with AI. So like right now, if you have merge sort and it doesn't work and you copy and paste it into ChatGPT and say, hey, what's wrong with this? It the way it is right now, a lot of times it might get caught up in something kind of random that's not related. But if we had a data set of all the bad programmers out there, that still makes it the model better. So I think long-term AI may totally replace us, but I think there's still a lot of data sets to be created, and as imperfect as humans are, there's still a lot of jobs to be done to just train the AIs that are eventually going to replace us. I'm not sure about humans always being more useful, because recently learning basics of PBC and now having made a few boards, if I had the option of access to forums of people LLMs, I choose LLMs every time. They aren't snarky, respond immediately. I've developed a good sense for detecting nonsense. I don't know. I mean, humans, like if you want to have an AI that knows literally everything, it needs to know about human mistakes, and unless human mistakes are in the model, it can't know about them. AI is already trained that way. I think these self-improvement abilities will be called something like skill set with practice and validation of use. Those are great for asking small, silly questions you'd be too embarrassed to ask, but would take a long time Googling. Yeah, that's a common trend I've heard. It's ChatGPT is really good for if you can't articulate the question. It's like a really fuzzy thing. AI is overrated. I don't know. It's both overrated and underrated. Like a corpus of scientific data, AI is not economically viable. Too much computation. It depends on the thing. For some things, it's definitely viable, but then other things, it's just wasting a lot of data. Okay, so I think I'll close off the AI discussion there. I think I covered got some decent content. What am I up to now? I've probably been streaming for a couple hours. The last thing I was going to do was write down. So I've almost finished Core Utils. So for those of you who are fans of the Linux command line shorts videos, I now am going to be taking suggestions for new shorts videos. So if you have a favorite Linux command, let me know, and this may be the opportunity to get a video done on your favorite command. The pine command. Building an AI from scratch is very expensive. Yeah, I mean, I watched a talk, one of Mark Zuckerberg's talk the other day, and they were talking about how much money they spent on it. It's insane. Reboot. It's already quite a bit. AT command. You definitely covered more commands than I've ever used. I think you are already the knowledge leader of oddball commands. Yeah, the core utils ones were, I think, a pretty good place to start. Even though some of those I think nobody really ever uses. They're installed on pretty much every GNU system. User add. Is there a package that those are in? I guess I can just probably look up whatever package user adds in. Yeah, I could probably just. Oh, thank you for and saw Mike Redbar is covering you now and teasing that he got a hold of your leaked text, kinda implied. I don't know what you mean by that. Kinda implied it was sick, embarrassing stuff. Hope it's just a bit. I don't use texting. Mike Redbar. I don't know who that is. Is that a live scam bot? Weird. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, does anyone know what that person's talking about? Not a bot, I'm a viewer. Who is Mike Redbar? I guess you can't see that, but it's says shadow utils. That's what user add is in. Does investigations where he exposes people for weird behavior. Yeah, I don't know. Do you go live on TikTok? I've never. I've posted to TikTok a bit. I've never done live on TikTok. I've still yet to do to experiment with Twitch. That's on my to-do list. I looked them up and couldn't find much of anything. Yeah, I don't know. That's a very weirdly specific thing to super chat with. And the secondhand YouTube videos about live TikTok, it's very strange. Yeah, I've gone on TikTok and tried it a bit, and I find most of them are just like people sitting around like drinking and arguing and stuff, and people arguing with their chat, and it's not really not a lot of interesting stuff there. Yeah, it's a decent one. red bar. Something to do with the foot fetish. Yeah, now I know that this is nonsense. Why does SE-Linux get bad rep? What do you recommend to average Linux user for security? AppArmor is the one that comes on Ubuntu. I haven't. There's a lot that I have to learn about. Time to ban Daniel, Megatroll. Yeah. Oh yeah. I guess I'll. I don't know if I'll bother banning. He gave $5. Yeah, I don't know if he, maybe I guess maybe if he's scamming, if it's like one of those like financial things where they're like, talk to so and so. I talked to so and so about my financial portfolio, and it's some weird specific name you're supposed to Google, and then you Google them, and they give you it's like some kind of Bitcoin scam or something. What did he say that the name was? It was Daniel Redbar or something. Yeah, I guess maybe that's it. Maybe it's someone's just trying to advertise a channel. Does YouTube cover you for back charge? Might you leave a fake donation? Yeah, I think it. I think you're protected from chargebacks. Mike Redbar. I'll have to Google that. I'm sure it's something nonsense. They got the WAS or something like that, I think. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'll probably call it a night. It's pretty late. Yeah, so I got a few new commands to add to the list. If you guys can think of any new commands that you want, maybe I guess you can post them in the chat now, or maybe just wait until this is posted and then make them a comment on this video, and then I'll come back and check out some of the comments if you can think about commands that you'd like queued up in the shorts. I think I've got like maybe 8 or something. The next 8 or something I have queued up, but after that I gotta start actually taking some people's requests now. All right, talk to you guys later.